I met Gwen Shaw, I believe it was in Alberta. I was invited to be a speaker at one of her conferences, and I had never heard of her before. I had heard about end-time handmaidens and servants, and I was excited to speak at the conference. Really didn't know who she was. But when I walked through the hallway towards the conference, she had these book tables, and they were just covered in books and materials that she had written. And she had, stories of experiencing heavenly things and all this. It was a wonder just to look at her book table. And I knew she was somebody that must have walked closely with the Lord. And so as we're walking past the book table, there's Gwen Shaw. And to my surprise, she's just this little lady and this bun in her hair, and she's kind of just coming along. And the person that was hosting me said, Gwen, this is our other speaker, Pastor Derek Schneider. And she just reached out her hand and took my hand and greeted me, welcomed me. And then she continued to shuffle down the hallway with whoever was leading her. And it was the strangest thing, because after we shook hands, I felt something. And you just don't get that among many leaders today. You sit with leaders, they talk about themselves, they talk about what they're doing and all this, and wild stories, like something to prove, But with her, it was just, I felt the presence of God on her with just a simple handshake. And I really thought about that scripture at that time about, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Somebody who has so made the Word become flesh in her life. And only when I got to hear her teachings and got to know her a bit better, I understood that this was somebody who spent time with God in the environment of heaven, to the point that her prayer life, a real prayer life carries the atmosphere of heaven. It had begun to change her. It had developed her. She was somebody marinated in the glory. And so something as simple as a handshake, I made contact with what she was carrying. She just exuded it. And after that, it felt like I had been at a 4-hour altar call. Think of your best altar call, that you've been to, and you're really experiencing God. That was my experience with a short handshake, an encounter with Gwen Shaw. And that always stayed with me. I mean, when she ministered later that evening, the altar time was just phenomenal. She just sat in her chair and she ministered. And it was the presence of God that was absolutely doing the work. And that forever marked me as the place I wanted to minister from, was having such a track record with the Lord being able to trust me with more, proving myself before God, developing a friendship with the Lord over the years until you have this sort of accumulated relationship with the Lord. He can trust you, and He moves and ministers when you are moving about your daily life. And that's what I long for, and that's what I'm building towards, and that's what I learned from my short time with Gwen Shaw.